Hey guys, so I spent the better part of last weekend trying to refine my Proxmox backups to make sure that I'm doing it in the best and most efficient way. And what I found was basically that for my Proxmox backups, I was using NFS Storage, and I should ultimately be using Proxmox Backup Server. And the main reason why you'd want to do something like that is for deduplication. Now, we're going to talk about that in a second. Now, the problem with using Proxmox Backup Server in a home lab is generally that Proxmox Backup Server is designed to run on bare metal hardware. So not only that, it's designed to have dedicated disks, and there's a lot of basically hoops that you have to jump through to ensure that this is set up properly. Now, in home lab environments, it's not always the most realistic thing to do that because you have to introduce a new piece of hardware, you have to maintain it, and generally it's not something that we want to do. So I went through a lot to try and figure out the best overall way to do this. And I'm not going to bore you with any of that information. If you do want to see exactly what I did, I have an article in the description that kind of goes through at least most of it, and it also includes written instructions. So back to Proxmox Backup Server. The main reason why you would want to use Proxmox Backup Server is for deduplication. Now, the simplest way to think of it is for the past week or so, I've been running Proxmox Backup Server for all of my backups, and I have a deduplication factor of around 7. What that means is that if I stored 100 gigabytes of backups on Proxmox Backup Server, that would equate to 700 gigabytes on any other storage medium. So Proxmox Backup Server utilizing deduplication is going to save you a ton of storage space. The next thing is that if you have an offsite server, or if you simply wanted to verify your backups, with NFS Storage, the way that I have always done it, you can't really do that. With Proxmox Backup Server, you can set up either a sync job or you can set up a verification job, which we'll talk about later, which will basically verify the backup and ensure that you can actually restore from it. So there's a lot of massive benefits from it. But the biggest problem is, and will continue to be, exactly where are you going to put this? So I ran through LXC containers. I use CIFS shares. I finally think that I'm happy with running Proxmox Backup Server in a virtual machine and utilizing NFS storage. Now, there are some downsides to it, and basically it's around how you actually configure that storage. But we are not only going to configure Proxmox Backup Server, we are going to set it up in a home lab-like way where we're utilizing a virtual machine plus NFS storage, but we're going to have a backup to our backups because this is not the way you're supposed to do it. If this is even remotely close to an enterprise environment, don't do this. Do this the preferred and recommended way, which is by using bare metal with solid state drives or at least dedicated drives, and just do it. Don't do it this way. But in a home lab environment like me, if you're looking to potentially reduce the total hardware you have, I'm pretty happy with this. But again, we're going to have a backup to these backups to ensure that, God forbid something happens, we'll have a second storage location where we can actually restore those backups. So like I said, we are going to install this in a virtual machine. So I'm going to create a new virtual machine. I'm going to give it a name. In the OS section, I already downloaded the Proxmox server ISO image. So I'm going to select that, but you'll have to download that on your system. Then you can give it some storage space, CPU, as well as memory. In the network section here, I'm going to leave this as default, but if you wanted to change any of this, you could. And then in the confirm section, I'm going to start this after it's created because I'm not going to make any other changes. Now, once this is created, we're just going to run through this installer here. At the bottom right, which you can't currently see, I am going to agree to the terms. And then you have to set up the actual storage. Now, for me, I'm just going to use ext4. But again, if this is bare metal, you might want to use some sort of RAID. So ZFS is what you would use. But again, since this is not a bare metal install, I'm not going to use that. I'm just going to leave this as default. We're going to move on, select everything here, give it a password and email address. I'm just going to come in, give it an IP address. And later on, I'll set a static reservation for that, but as well as a host name. And then at this point, you can run through and install it. Okay, so once this is done installing, we are going to reboot this. And once it is rebooted, we're going to access the web interface through this IP address and port. Now, once you sign in, you will be brought to the dashboard. Now, the very first thing I like to do is exactly what I did in my Proxmox setup video, which I will leave a link to in the description if you want to see it. But I like to run a Proxmox VE Helper Script. So right here, this is the Proxmox Backup Server post install. You should go through and you should validate this script on your own. Don't just trust running random scripts on the internet. So validate the script on your own, but this is basically going to set everything that we need to actually set in Proxmox Backup Server, just going to make it a little easier. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to run this. We're going to click yes because we want to start it. Change the Proxmox Backup Server sources, yes. Disable PBS Enterprise, yes. Enable the PBS No Subscription repository, yes. This is what we are going to do to actually get updates. You can add the disabled PBS test repository. I don't do that, but you can. Disable subscription nag. Yes, that's what I like to do. And as always, you should always support the Proxmox team. This is basically just telling you to do that, especially because you're removing the nag. So always keep that in mind. This is great software. And then finally, we are going to update the operating system. And as soon as it's done updating, it recommends that you reboot, and we are going to do that. Okay, so with everything back up, we can start to configure Proxmox Backup Server. Now, like I said earlier, this is not the recommended way of doing it. So we kind of have to do it in a very bizarre way, but you only have to do this one time. And we basically need to do it this way because the backup user and backup group in Proxmox Backup Server has to be the one to create a folder and a file. It's basically a hidden folder and a hidden file. But if you do not have this user create these files, it's not going to work properly and you're going to run into problems. So I tried just about everything that you could try. I tried to change the ownership of the directories, and I really didn't want to do that. One thing you can do is basically configure the folder so that everybody has access to it, but I don't like to do that. So this is something I found in a forum post that I linked to in the written instructions if you want to see that. But this is exactly what I did, and this is exactly what worked after banging my head against the wall trying to get this to work for a while. So we're going to come into the shell here, and we're going to create two directories, PBS Backups and Temp. Now, Temp is what we're going to use to mount our NFS storage, and PBS Backups is going to be a local directory, which we're going to use to create our data store. Now, the next thing we're going to do is change the ownership of that PBS Backups folder to the backup user and backup group. Again, this is required to actually create the data store. So now that that's done, we are going to come in and configure our NFS permissions. Now, this is going to be based on whatever NAS device you're using. I am currently using a UNAS Pro, so that's where I'm going to be doing it. But it's going to be basically the same. You have to add the actual IP address of that Proxmox Backup Server, and I'm going to add it to my Proxmox folder here. And I'm going to give it read-write permissions, and then I'm basically just going to save this. So this is basically saying that this IP address has read-write permissions to that folder. So back in Proxmox Backup Server, we're going to modify the fstab file, and we're going to make it so that this directory automatically boots. The directory is basically going to be the directory on the NAS. Okay, so what I have here is basically the IP address of the NAS. This is the directory that I want to mount to. So we're mounting to the Proxmox Backup Server folder inside of my Proxmox folder, and I'll explain why later. We're mounting to the temp directory, and we're doing this because we have to actually create the data store and then move the data from that data store into this directory, and then we'll link it all back up. Then it's NFS defaults 00. So you can save this. So after saving that, you can mount this, and then we are ready to move on to the next step. So at this point, I'm just going to connect to that directory. I'm going to create a file, and this is just to show you that that file was created. So we can come back here and we can remove that file because it needs to be a blank directory. Okay, so now that that's done, what we're going to do is we're going to create our data store. Now remember, this is going to be local. So I'm going to call this UNAS Pro. I'm going to mount it to the PBS Backups folder, not the temp folder. And then in the prune options, this is going to be the total number of backups that you want to keep. So I'm going to keep 7 daily backups. I'm going to keep 2 monthly backups. I'm going to keep 8 weekly backups, and that's 17 total. So you can modify this to be whatever you want, but that's what I'm going to do. Now, as soon as you add this, it's going to go into that PBS Backups folder, and it's going to create a file, which is the .lock file, and the .chunks folder. This is basically where all the data will be stored. But as you can see, it's owned by the backup user and the backup group. This is very important. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to copy the .chunks folder and the .lock file into the temp directory. Now, once that's done, if you go to the temp directory and you look to see what exists there, you will see the 2 folders. Now, it's going to have a different UID and GID. This is going to be what's on the NAS, but that's not important. What is important is we have to go back to that FS tab folder, and rather than mounting this to the temp directory, we have to mount this to the PBS Backups directory. So now that the data was copied over, we're basically just going to connect the NAS directly to that directory. Save that. We're going to mount this. It's going to ask us to reload the daemon, which we will do. And at that point, if you go to the UNAS directory, everything should still be connected. So now to take it one step further, we're just going to reboot Proxmox Backup Server. And once it comes back up, you will see that the UNAS Pro is still accessible and everything is good. If you don't do what we just did, you're going to run into permission issues. You might be able to get the NAS to actually mount. It's not going to stay mounted. You might have some weird problems. This is the only path I was able to find that is consistently working. So now that that's done, we can shift back to Proxmox to actually configure backups. So inside of Proxmox, what you'll do is go to your data center, and then you're going to go to storage, and you're going to add new storage, and it's going to be Proxmox Backup Server. Now, this is going to be whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to call it temp PBS because this is a test. This is going to be the IP address of that Proxmox Backup Server. You're going to use root at PAM for the user. You're going to type in your password. And then in the Datastore, what you're going to do is match exactly what you put here. So I'm going to call this UNAS Pro. Now, the final thing that we need to add is the fingerprint. So back in the dashboard of the Proxmox Backup Server, you can click Show Fingerprint, click Copy, and then you are going to paste that in here, and then you can come in and add this. So at this point, we have configured storage. Now we have to actually utilize that storage. So inside of the data center, you will also see a backup section here. We're going to add a new backup schedule. So we're going to select our Proxmox Backup Server. And then what we're going to do is we're going to select the schedule. I'm just going to do every day. But what I like to do is exclude selected VMs. I do not want to back up the Proxmox Backup Server that we just created to itself. Basically, you're probably going to run into a loop, going to be problems. So I exclude that selected VM, and then everything else will back up. Now in the retention, again, you're not going to modify any of this. All of this is going to stay as default, and you are going to create this. So at this point, a backup schedule has been created for Proxmox Backup Server. Now, inside of Proxmox Backup Server, there are some additional things that we could do. So we haven't actually backed anything up yet, but we talked about sync jobs earlier. So if you had a second Proxmox Backup Server instance somewhere off-site, for example, you can come in and create a new push or pull sync task for whichever server you're actually pulling or pushing to. This is a great way of just duplicating that backup. But what I do like to create is a verify job. So I like to come in here. I don't run it daily, but I'll run it on a weekly basis. And then you can modify these settings to be whatever you want. But the idea behind this is that after we get our backups, we want to verify that we can actually restore from those backups. And this is what will do that. So this is something that I think is extremely important to configure. Now, if you want to modify any of your prune settings or garbage collection, you can do that here. Generally, you don't have to because we set up the settings here and everything is kind of configured the way that it should be. But again, we don't have any content at this point. So this is how you could schedule all of your virtual machines and Linux containers to actually back up. But if you wanted to just back up an individual, what you would do is go into the actual VM, you would select the storage, and then you would back it up. Now, the thing that's important to get to, which is going to be the next stage of this, is the performance is not good. It's just not. I have averaged anywhere from, as you can see, 16 right here. I've averaged anywhere from, let's say, 50 megabytes per second to about 175. That's been my range. Now, rather than creating a full backup, what it's doing is it's actually creating very, very, very small files. So the backup is going to be slow by default. But the fact that we're running this in a virtual machine and we're connecting to NFS Storage, it's even slower. So from a performance perspective, if performance is important to you, you got to run it bare metal on its own dedicated drives. But for me, I run this overnight. I don't really care if it takes 2 hours, which it hasn't, but if it takes 2 hours, it takes 2 hours. It's not that important to me. You just have to understand that the actual performance for the backup and potential restores is going to be significantly slower than if you ran this bare metal. Now, after that finishes backing up, if you come back into this location and you refresh this here, you will see that our backup is here. Now, again, the data doesn't actually exist here. The data exists on our UNAS Pro or our NAS, whatever it is. But now that it's here, with the actual verification job, not only are we backing up to here, but we are also able to verify that we can restore it. Now, this is the server that I set up last weekend. And as you could see, I have all of my backups here. They've been running for about a week now. But again, in the summary for this, you'll see the deduplication factor is 7. And that basically says that for every 100 gigabytes we have of storage in Proxmox Backup Server, it would be equal to 700 gigabytes if it was not in Proxmox Backup Server. So with all of that said, one of the most important things is to ensure that this is not your only backup. And this is going to be overkill, and I acknowledge that. But the reason that I like to do this is because this is not the recommended approach for this. You cannot guarantee that this is forever going to work. If something happens with your NFS connection, if there's an update or something, we can't guarantee that this is going to work forever. So what I like to do is set this up as my primary backup, but I also like to set up a secondary backup. So what I did is I just came in and basically set up standard NFS storage. So I set up my UNAS Pro, basically just came in, select NFS here, type in the actual ID you'd like to use, as well as the IP address of that NAS, select the folder, and then just make sure that you come in here and you select VZ dump backup file. And at that point, what you can do is come into the backup section and you can configure a backup schedule. So right now what I'm doing is I'm backing up everything. This is important because not only am I backing up all the other virtual machines, but I'm also in this scenario able to back up Proxmox Backup Server. If you don't do it this way, you're not going to be able to back up Proxmox Backup Server because again, you're trying to back up Proxmox Backup Server to itself, which you can't do, and you just don't want to do that. But using NFS, you can. So I come in here and I back up everything. I just set a different schedule than I configured for Proxmox Backup Server. And in the retention, I'm keeping 7 days, but again, there's no deduplication. So it's not crazy to come in here and set something like 3. Then at that point, you're confirming you have 3 versions of all of your virtual machines through NFS that you can restore from. Now again, you're backing up twice by doing what we just did. But again, what we did is not the way you're supposed to do this. We did this because we're looking at it from a home lab perspective, and setting up dedicated hardware with dedicated drives is just another thing that you have to run and maintain. Doing it this way helps us get around that problem, but we're not doing it the way that you're supposed to. So from a backup perspective, you want to maintain at least some confidence that this is going to continue to work on a long-term basis. And the way that I showed in terms of NFS backups, I've been running that for years at this point, and I've never had any problems. I've restored not only to the individual hypervisor itself, but I've restored to totally different hardware, physical hardware for the Proxmox node, and everything has always worked properly. So if you really don't want to store the data, just do one version. You don't have to do 7 like I did. You don't have to do 3, but do at least 1 so you ensure that you have some sort of backup that you can actually restore from if Proxmox Backup Server ever doesn't work. Now again, those written instructions, I went through a lot. LXC containers, CIF shares, trying to basically get the performance to be better, as well as determine what is the best from a actual virtual machine or Linux container perspective. This is what I have come to the conclusion of is best. Doesn't mean it's going to be best for you, but this, after all of my testing, is what's best for me. So I know this was a lot. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. But if you made it this far, thank you very much for watching. I will see you guys next time.